So the official solicitations of the Mortal Kombat 11 Kitana and Baraka action figures have been released from McFarlane Toys. Did you manage to see that?
I did, yeah. I think I saw them first on Twitter.
They're official images of the toys, and the image comes from McFarlane Toys. And I think the photos are horrible.
Okay, same here. I saw them and I was like, what is this? These look like crap.
Well, so usually whenever you take a product photograph, you kind of light it to be a cutout, which means it has that white background to it.
Yeah.
But it looks like they lit this one to kind of give it a moody, like with colors and stuff. And then somebody went in and cut it out afterwards. And they're also showing it at such an up close image. I don't think it's good for these action figures because they're only 7-inch action figures. So zooming in that close on them, you're getting a lot of detail that normally you wouldn't notice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, that kind of brings to light that maybe they should be of a higher standard. So, for example, that Kitana figure, like if you look at the face, it's very bad quality. I expect a lot more definition, and it just looks really bad to me if you look at her eyes and her eyebrows, for example.
So these are actually, I think, like the third generation of this MKXI or MK series that McFarlane Toys has been producing. The first series was Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and that was back in October 2019. And then Raiden and Johnny Cage, of course, came in Q1 of 2020. So it's along the same lines. And I think quality-wise, it's very similar to the other toys that they've released. But I just think the photo itself isn't a good photo.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The photos are very bad quality. I mean, comparing it to the previous ones. Okay, so if we look at, say, Raiden and Johnny, I mean, Johnny looks to be very similar in terms of quality to Kitana, whereas Raiden seems to be of a higher standard, in my opinion. But in the end, the biggest issue, I guess, is what you're saying. It's the pictures themselves. It's very bad. Like, why are you going so close?
Yeah, exactly. So the prototypes for these toys were actually revealed at the New York Toy Fair back in February of 2020. And during the toy fair, we saw, of course, they have the 22 points of articulation and they come in at 7 inches, which is standard for these MKXI toys that they've been making so far. And both the characters do come with, of course, their accessories. Baraka has detachable blades, and
Nice.
You can replace them out for extended versions or retracted versions, so you can swap them out. The retracted versions are basically just like little nubs that go in there.
All right.
He also comes with a Tarkatan head, which is like, the standard Baraka face that we're used to.
Does he also have a helmet?
Yeah, you can swap it out for another head that has the Tarkatan armor head to it.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. And then he also comes with a punctured brain that you can slide onto his elongated blade.
For its vitality.
Exactly. It looks just like it. It's pretty cool looking.
I mean, honestly, Baraka looks pretty cool to me, but one thing I do take issue with is his mouth. Like, the best way to describe it is it looks like he's wearing lipstick.
Oh, that's yeah. And that
if he wants to, that's fine. It's just very different from MK11.
I think part of that is because of that coloring in the photograph, like the way they shot that. They added a lot of reds to it, and if you look at photos of it from the toy fair, it's not as noticeable. It's more flesh tone. Like there is a slight difference in the colors, but yeah, it's not that bad.
Okay, good.
Kitana, she comes with her regular masked head, the one that was shown in the image, and there's also a maskless variation that you can replace.
Same
the head.
hair though.
Yep, same hair. Yeah.
Okay. I would have thought they'd let her hair down or something.
Yeah, I guess the easiest way, they probably had the face mold and then slapped a mask on there.
Quality.
She also has a sai, and she comes with her fans. And I'm not sure, but I think the fans, at least during the prototype, I think they can, expand and retract. Like they can fold up.
Okay, cool. So she's got 2 fans.
Yes, she does come with more than one fan.
But one sai.
Yeah, and only one side from what I've seen from Toy Fair, and that was, like I said, that's just the prototypes that they showed, but that seems to be what they're actually putting out.
Okay, I mean, it makes sense considering she's got the one piece of Psy gear in MK11. But one thing I am looking at is how she's holding, or like her grip on the fan. And it's a bit weird. She's holding it where if she tried to slice somebody with it and it closed, it would cut off her fingers.
Does she have her fingers running through the sections?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'd think she'd hold it from where you always hold a fan. It's a little, I'm being very picky here, but it's unnecessary too.
I didn't realize that when I looked at them. So these action figures, the MSRP on them is going to be the same as the other MK and MKXI toys, which is around $19.99 US dollars. So
Okay.
$19, about
That's actually not bad. Yeah.
So also, as I said earlier, this is coming in line with the previous toys that have been released, which were Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Raiden and Johnny Cage, and of course the Spawn figure, which kind of lies up into all of this. And the Spawn figure was actually supposed to have been released at Final Combat, which we reported about that on our first episode. But since Final Combat got canceled because of the name that shall not be named, they released that later on its own, outside of Final Combat. The Spawn figure itself kind of has its own thing too. That, I mean, it's all branded underneath this MKXI Mortal Kombat branding, but the first version of the Spawn character that was supposed to have come out at Final Combat, that was released with a sword. Then they ended up producing a second version of the character that came with a mace, and that version was only available through select retailers like Amazon.
Oh, so you have to pick between the two or get both?
Yeah, you could get both. You would just have to find out where to buy both of them, and these all came out at separate times. So,
all right.
That's why I didn't kind of include Spawn when I was telling you about when these were released, because the Spawn figures have they're being released in versions, so they're kind of their own thing, even though they're MKXI toys.
I mean, fair enough. It's McFarlane Toys, right? So
yeah, fair enough. He can do what he wants with Spawn. And then there's a third version of Spawn, which comes with an axe, and that one's expected to come out in August, and that's a Target exclusive. So if anybody wants to purchase that, they're going to have to go to Target. I'm not sure about the international distributors for that, but in the US, at least, it's going to be a Target exclusive.
I think I'd be all over the sword, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the harder one to find out, because I believe that sold out pretty quickly.
Not surprised. Looks pretty cool.
That's why they've been releasing these other ones. And then, of course, all three Spawn weapons that are used are weapons that are used in game. So that's why they have these different accessories to them.
Okay. No, it looks pretty cool, honestly. I think his is, I mean, of course, the best one out of the line, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. He's got that cool cape and everything.
Exactly. It just looks so boss. So I'm having a look at the first in line with the Scorpion and the Sub-Zero, and Sub-Zero looks awesome, but Scorpion honestly looks high. Like, if you look at his face, he's just like, "What's up, guys? Where am I?" I don't know, maybe it's the white eyes or something, but I also feel like his eyebrows are kind of raised, whereas Sub-Zero is looking like menacing, and it just looks amazing. It's so funny.
Does he have like bloodshot eyes and is holding a bottle of Vaseline as his accessory?
I mean, it's a shame because the rest of it looks awesome, actually. Like, he looks very good quality. It's just his eyes are just, what was going on here, guys?
So I really want the Johnny Cage figure just so I can have a Johnny Cage action figure.
Although, looking at the Johnny one, he has this weird sort of, like, his torso is in two sections.
I'm curious to know what our fans think about these action figures as far as like McFarlane quality, because McFarlane, I mean, he started out as creating these super realistic action figures, and these are not his best work in my opinion.
No, definitely. Like, I was speaking with a couple of friends who are actually figure collectors, and I asked them their opinions just on the Kitana and Baraka ones, and they said this looks terrible. It could be the pictures, but even then, they look like they're really bad quality. And I mean, I kind of want to ask them what they think of, say, the Johnny one, because to me, the face on Johnny looks really bad, whereas the upper torso looks amazing. And then he has this sort of weird like section where there's another part to his torso. I mean, it's possibly for him doing the splits or something, but it's very weird.
And this is current McFarlane standards. So
that's a shame because I've always heard good things about them.
So let us know in the comments, what do you guys think? If you're a fan of these action figures, let us know. And if you think it's not the best quality, leave a comment. So one thing I found interesting, I don't know if they're going to do this with the Baraka and Kitana release, but so far the figures that have been released to this point have been using the Mortal Kombat 9 logo on them. They're not using the Mortal Kombat 11 logos, which this is supposed to be the MKXI McFarlane toy line. So you would think they would go with the Mortal Kombat X or Mortal Kombat 11 logos, but they're going with something a little bit more traditional.
But the logo itself, as you said, is MK9. But from what I can see, the base of the figures actually seems to use, unless I'm wrong, the MKX font.
When you say the base, you mean like a platform that they're standing on?
Yeah, I'm having a look. Actually, it seems to be on Raiden too. It looks pretty cool. I mean, I could be wrong. It might actually be a different font, but for me, it really reminds me of MKX's font. Pretty interesting that they're going with both, if that is the case.
Yeah, and the Mortal Kombat 9 logo, that's just on the packaging. And it does kind of make sense with McFarlane. You know, Mortal Kombat's new design has like a very clean edges look to it, and McFarlane stuff has that spillover, that gritty hell type of look to it, which Mortal Kombat 9 definitely captured that, I think.
And that's also where all the rumors started about Spawn 2 during MK9's lifespan, as far as I remember.
Oh, really?
Because that's when the whole guest thing started, and people started asking about Spawn. And I mean, I could be completely wrong, but based on my memory, that's when there were rumors that NRS were talking with McFarlane about Spawn possibly coming in at some point. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. You know, maybe this is something that was decided way back then, and maybe he got the contract back then and started working on it from that point.
Well, I do remember reading something up, I think right after MK11 release, with regards to the combat pack, that if they were going to use the license for Spawn at any point, this was going to be their last opportunity to do it. So that might be why it could have been signed around MK9's lifespan, actually, and just being brought to fruition now.
Of course, the Scorpion and Sub-Zero figures, those came out in October of 2019. And of course, I mean, this is the same toy line as that, so they're just sticking with that packaging because that's what they initially released it as.
Yeah, you don't want to switch it up every time you release new figures. Although, just the fact that they've chosen Kitana and Baraka together is quite interesting to me. I mean, even Raiden and Johnny, it's a very weird choice of pairs, if you get me.
Yeah, and these 6 figures are the only ones that we know of that are coming out. I mean, not counting the Spawn figures, of course, but this might be the end of this line as a whole, unless they have plans to release something else for 2021.
Do we know if they've announced them like the next line before they're shown? Like while they're releasing, say, Johnny and Raiden, did we know that Kitana and Baraka were the next in line?
Yeah, so back in February of 2020, which was around Q1 when Raiden and Johnny were released, that's when we saw these figures. We saw the Kitana and Baraka and Spawn figures, and everybody was kind of expecting Kitana and Baraka to be released at the same time as Spawn came out, which was during Final Combat. But it's been on the back burner. So that's why this is a lot of excitement that these characters are actually getting produced finally and going to be seeing market.
All right, well, this has been the first of our Tarkatan Bitesized episodes. We're going to be continuing with our proper Realm Kast episodes as per usual, and we've got a nice surprise for you for the next time. It's somebody who you've been all been asking for. So in the meantime, please like, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Have a great day.